So, this video was supposed to come out in October, but I've tried writing it about 8 times, and it never turned out how I wanted it to. I'm gonna try recording this no script. Let's see how it turns out. This will still be edited, there will still be cuts, and I'm not doing this in one take. This isn't Mogul Mail. I choke on my words way too much to do it once. But it's still going to be raw in the sense that I don't have a script. I've got a few notes, I guess you could say, but it's really just bullet points to make sure I remember to talk about the things I want to talk about. So, summer 2019, I had just turned 20, and I was working a restaurant job that required a lot of hours out of me. I enjoyed it a lot, but I would sometimes finish at 4 a.m., and the public transport options at that time in my city aren't great. What would normally be a 40-minute ride on the subway was an hour and a half in the night bus, which meant I needed something to do during that time. At first, I rewatched Breaking Bad and Community, but I quickly finished those because I was working 6 days a week. So I started a show I knew was something of a cult classic, How to Make It in America. Immediately, I got it. I understood. I saw why this series was so important to so many people. And it would quickly become important to me as well. This wasn't a dark, detailed, gritty drama like Breaking Bad, or an exaggerated reality like Community. This was a world very, very similar to mine, which is crazy because it was filmed 10 years prior in a city that I've only been to twice. I'm not from New York. I'm from a big city, but still a much smaller city than New York. And yet, I felt like I knew the city. I felt like it was a part of me almost. And that's one of the biggest qualities How to Make It in America has. I know it's a cliche to say this by now, but the city was a character. And how they do that was insanely impressive.
Don't sweat the technique.
The boogie down Bronx. It just don't got the same flavor like the Lower East Side, you know what I'm saying?
Can you keep your voice down and not get us killed up here, please?
Yo, relax. I got peoples in every borough. Yo, as a matter of fact, we gotta hit this Cuban spot after this.
Yes, New York and How to Make It in America is the city that surrounds the protagonists. Obviously, this would be the case. But it's so much more. It's first presented to you through the montage of pictures of different people living in the city, in different areas of the city, in the show's intro, immediately setting the tone with Aloe Black's I Need a Dollar playing. Banger song, by the way. This already gives you an idea of what type of city New York is like and How to Make It in America. A city with millions of different personalities that are crossing paths every day, where every little subculture that exists in the city is clashing and becoming one in different ways that people don't even notice. This is just reinforced by the way the characters move around in the city, running into people they know that will not affect the plot whatsoever, but are just there to show you how huge and how packed it is. This is real of a city this size. You can't go that long without running into someone you know, because there's someone you know everywhere. Like I said, I'm not from New York, but I am from a rather big city, and when I go out, I notice when I don't run into anyone I know, a lot more than when I do. By setting such a strong identity for the city and making it so lived in, How to Make It in America makes you feel like you know New York, even though, like me, you may not. Giving it a distinct personality really went a long way. On the subject of characters you feel like you know even though you don't, the main cast is... I swear I know these guys. Like, not the characters themselves, but the people they're based on. Cam, Domingo, Rachel, Ben, at different times I felt like all of them. Growing up, and especially in my 20s. Sure, At the time, I was only 20. I had just turned 20. They were significantly older, late 20-somethings, but these felt like people I know. They reflected the things I had felt at different moments. Ben, who knows he's working a dead-end job and doesn't see a way out. As much as he desperately wants one, he doesn't think it's possible. I've been there. I am there very often. Cam, who, in a lot of ways, is the perfect hustle culture, rise and grind millennial who will do everything for his next dollar. That hope, that determination he has, I get it in bursts and I see it in the people around me. God, it's what pushed me to do this channel. The hope that I could find a non-traditional way out through my own terms. Something I was looking for back then, but didn't even know it yet. Domingo, the cool and easygoing weed dealer who just walks dogs and hangs with supermodels. I can't say that's me, though there have been some similarities in the past, but I do know people who live that lifestyle, and I've got no clue how they achieved it. Rachel, who's starting to question the decisions that brought her where she is, learning to prioritize her happiness. That character is one that's on a journey I didn't know I would be on a few years later. Not only are these characters people I knew, they're people I would later know or later become as I'd move deeper into my 20s. And, Capo. I know so many people like Capo. I grew up middle class, and where I was in that middle class would move a lot, especially as there were times where both my parents had to stop working. Sometimes I'd be a bit higher in the middle class, other times I'd be more towards the lower end, but I got lucky. I had really good grades leading into high school, which got me in a school of a tier that normally I wouldn't be able to afford. At this school, there were other kids in the same situation as me, but there was also a lot of very rich kids. And as we would exit high school, they became more like Capo than I would ever expect.
You feel like you killed it though, right?
Yeah. What, you didn't like the serpent?
I don't know.
Cam, are you serious right now?
I'm just saying, maybe we should go honest. A little more personal with it.
Personal? We went to public school. What the fuck do we know about these little brats?
Art's gotta tell the truth, right?
It's actually pretty funny.
And while these were honest-seeming characters who reminded me a lot of myself and the people I know, there was still some disconnect. First, I was a lot younger than them when I was watching the show. Like I said, I had just turned 20. But more than just that, there's a generational gap as well. This show is very centered around millennials. I'm part of Gen Z. I'm an older member of Gen Z, I'm born in '99, but there's still something of a generational gap. Not as much as if I were 14, but still, it's there. A lot of the stuff in the show, like hipster culture, are dated for me. I never really knew or related to that. I do recognize that, for the time, it must have been very real. Especially as the show kind of predicted how big streetwear would become in the next few years. Though this doesn't take away from how real the show felt. The show perfectly captured what my experience of my 20s was, even though it was super limited at the time. That summer, I was working 16-hour shifts 5 or 6 days a week, and my days off, I would be helping friends set up their art galleries, going to concerts my friends would do, starring as an extra in student films, going to see like every live show I could, or the fashion shows that my friends would work and model for. And when I wasn't doing this, I was clubbing or drinking with friends. After a shift, a bar in the area would stay open just for restaurant employees. I would finish at 4 a.m. and go drinking before catching my bus. The legal age here is 18. I'm not promoting underage drinking, YouTube. I swear. The show really captured what being in your 20s felt like for me at the time. Although the next 2 years were kind of not like that for obvious reasons, a pandemic did fuck up my early 20s. My life is finally starting to go back to that. Just a few weeks ago, I went to a friend's live performance he was doing at a gorgeous ball. It's a lot of fun to live like this, but it was insane to me to see my reality so perfectly captured as someone growing up in a bit of the artistic scene of a big city. I had never seen this done so accurately. It felt like the world I knew. Obviously, I recognize that this won't be everyone's experience, but as I'm a few months away from turning 24, I feel as though the show is exactly what being a modern 20-something years old has been like for me.
All right. Cool. Thanks, man. I got $220 in the bank I could put in. What you got?
I have $1,600 in my name.
16?
And I need $1,550 of it for rent next week.
Rent, man. Come on, fuck rent. It takes months before they can even kick you out. We need this money today.
Fuck rent? I'm sorry, I'm not getting evicted. I'm not gonna stay on your grandma's couch with you, all right?
Oh, any chance we could ask your pops for a contribution?
Any chance we could ask your mom's?
Man, please, man. She doesn't even say hello when I call. She says, I got no money for you, and hangs up.
Well, I haven't asked my dad for $1 since I moved out. I really don't want to start now.
But the show doesn't only capture the positive elements of being in your 20s. It captures a lot of the complications and the more negative feelings that come with. An example of this would be Ben's feelings for the situation. When Domingo and Rachel start dating, on the one hand, he knows that they're adults and it's okay that one of your friends may start dating an ex-girlfriend. But on the other hand, he does still feel conflicted about it. And that's a very real situation a lot of people have to go through. There's also the financial insecurities that a lot of people deal with in their 20s. Not being sure how you're going to make it through the month is a reality for a lot of people. Another one that I particularly related to, especially in the last 2 years, is the feeling that you aren't as far as you're supposed to be. Everyone else has kind of made it where they're supposed to go, and you've been trailing behind. Even though you may know this is logically not true, this is an insecurity a lot of people have. Illustrating this just further shows how the series is able to really capture what it's like to be in your 20s. Not to mention the idea that two best friends just start their own clothing brand, and it's this cool streetwear brand. It's really appealing, let's face it. We all want to be that cool, especially as Crisp is such a good name. Fuck Crunch by Yoshi. Crisp is where it's at. Being able to watch these characters come up, change, become new people is a big part of what made the show so appealing. These characters already felt like your friends, so to see them succeed, to see them struggle, to see them go from point A to point B like this, which is super simple, is also super satisfying because to a certain extent, you feel like you're on that journey with them. I loved and still love this show because it does so much to make it feel like you are part of that world, and it does so much to make it feel like it is part of your world. I think even when I eventually do move out of relating to these characters, it will capture a moment in time that has been really important to me. It's a shame the show didn't go on longer, because I would love to see where Ben, Cam, Domingo, Rachel, Capo are all right now. Thank you so much for literally listening to me ramble. I know I joke that at the end of my other essays, but those are written. This one isn't. You tuning in means a lot. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and check out my other stuff. Recommend any show or movie you may enjoy or relate to. Who knows? I might make a video about it.